Hey guys.
Hey, I'm Megan.
And I'm Rob.
And we are Venture Lives.
Yeah, if you're new to our channel, we highly recommend checking out season 3. Right now it's our favorite season. We've been going through the Inside Passage, sailing through the Inside Passage of Alaska in search of the best adventures, and we highly recommend that season, so check it out.
Yeah. Check it out.
Check it out.
And we are doing a little bit of a different style video this time. More of how we are doing what we're doing as far as being able to travel and I guess pay off student loans, because that's what we're doing right now. We're traveling and we're paying off student loans at the same time. And that's how we started it all. We got done with school, we moved to where we wanted to be, and this is what we've been working on. We're about to show you how we have managed to pay off almost $100,000 in debt over the past 3 years while traveling.
Yep. So yeah, we're still able to travel, yet still pay off that debt. I think the goal was to pay it off in 5 years, and so far we're on year 4, and we're pretty much on track to getting everything paid off.
Yeah, it's been great. We're gonna start with just a little history and why we're making this video. We're making this video because we've had some people just curious about, how are you guys doing this? You know, are you privileged? Did people give you money?
Do you have a trust fund or something like that?
Do you have a trust fund?
No.
What's going on with you guys? You know, people want to know. So we're going to give you 5 bullet points on how we think we've been able to do what we have done, being $100,000 in debt and paying it off in 5 years. So 1 is
minimizing rent.
Minimizing rent.
Yeah.
It's the biggest expense. If you can get rid of that expense, you're way ahead of the game. 2 is just your spending. Watching everything you spend on. In other words, you kind of have to be a bit of a penny pincher. And for those of you who hate it, well, it's just part of the game. So penny pinch. You be honest with yourself, where you're spending, how you're spending, make changes.
Step 3 is work hard. Not just work hard at your job, which makes money, but work hard towards things that could potentially save you money, like doing projects yourself. That's a big one. So yeah, step 3 is work hard.
Work hard.
Yep.
Step 4, willingness to learn. You have to be able to learn to be able to get anywhere, because a lot of the time you're not going to have the finances. You have to learn to get things done. Plus, you're learning, and everything that you learn combines into the future, and it makes the future that much easier for you. 5.
Compromises. So there's a lot of things you got to compromise. And living on a boat, you're in a small space, but hey, with that, you're able to minimize your rent, you're able to minimize a lot of your spending, and really save your money because you're in that small space. But certain compromises are, like, hot water showers aren't every day, or pretty rare, I should say. You gotta do laundry at a laundromat. Compromises you minimize certain luxuries so you can gain other luxuries. And for me, my main luxury is being outside in like a beautiful location, being in a place where you're connected with nature, and that's my luxury. Some other people, it's a comfy couch, it's a nice TV, it's a place to relax on the back porch, and hey, that's all right. If you're into that, we totally get it. It's fine. But that's what we mean by compromises: is you minimize certain luxuries for other luxuries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those are our five points.
Yep.
So to start things out, I was never given any money for college. I worked really hard through high school, and I was involved in everything I possibly could to be able to one-up myself as far as scholarships. And I did everything I possibly could. I didn't really have a lot of guidance on things, and so I was a little bit here and there as far as what I wanted and needed to do. But I always knew that I wanted to travel and see the world. It's just something that's been inside of me for my entire life. Knowing that, I wanted to work hard so I could get myself in a position to where I would have the means to be able to, because I didn't get to do any of that growing up. So I worked really hard, and then I go to college, and basically I got the first year paid for, and that was it. debt. And so I had to figure out how to finish the rest of it. But once I was able to finish my prereqs, I went into dental hygiene school with pretty much no debt. And then I had to take out a whole bunch of debt to be able to go through hygiene school. That's just how it was. And I did it based on the knowledge of me probably moving to Alaska afterwards, because I knew it would be a smart move where I could go up there and live somewhere new and pay off my loans a lot quicker. And so I guess because of the adventurous side in me, I don't mind doing that so much, and it's kind of exciting.
While Megan and I were going through school, that's when we first started dating, and we were about 24, 25 at the time. And we lived about an hour and a half from each other, and so we were always kind of like trying to meet halfway. And just something we had in common was going out into the woods, going next to the river, going hiking, biking, and from there it just kind of led into work throughout our school week, and then take the weekends off, and then just get outside and play. And it was during that time when we realized, how can we like continue doing these adventures on the weekend, but do it as like a full-time gig, or like as a something we wanted to do, if anything, like half a year on, half a year off, and just travel? How can we do that?
Yeah, we would have these questions for each other, so we both knew we wanted the same thing, which was nice.
Yeah, and so when Megan was getting ready to graduate and I was graduating at the same time, it just kind of made sense for us to pull up the map and figure out where can we live and where can we get a sailboat and travel around, and pointing the map right there on Juneau, Alaska.
Because I knew I wanted to go to Alaska to pay off my student loans, and to have a boat on top of that, Anchorage and all those places further up just didn't quite make sense. And so when we found Juneau, we were like, okay, this is it. This is the spot. And we found Harris Harbor right there. And then a block away was a dental office. And I was like, that would be really cool. What if we could buy a boat in that harbor? And then we were both talking about it. Buy a boat in the harbor, and then I could just walk to work every day, and that would help. One, I really need to have a vehicle because I could walk to work every day. And it's just all about minimizing expenses. That was our number one priority, with a little bit of fun here and there. Because you can't just put yourself in a prison, which is what it would be if you're just kind of like. And while I moved up to Juneau before Rob, because we weren't able to make the jump together. He was working at a job. I was ready to go, so I went. And I started working in that exact office that I pointed to at the map.
Which is Dr. Jared Lee's office.
It's just crazy because a year later, after we pointed at the map and said that, we were right there doing it. So when I moved up to Alaska, I started saving up money because I knew how the loan process works. I don't have any collateral. I knew that they would want more. So I started putting some money aside for that. And we were about $81,000 in debt. So it was going to be really hard for us to even get a boat loan. So I did as much research as I possibly could on the process of getting a boat loan. And then about 5 months later, Rob was able to join me.
Yeah, so when I moved up, I was actually working for a small startup in Washington at the time. And I was trying to figure out, like, I knew this company had a lot of potential as a startup, but I wanted to move to Alaska, and I was like, how can I figure this out? And so I kept applying for jobs up in Alaska, and I only have a trade degree. I don't have a bachelor's degree, just a 2-year degree is all I have. And so I was looking for all these different kind of jobs up in Juneau, and they kept saying, no, as soon as you get up here, we can probably get you in for an interview. When you get up here, I'm sure you'll be able to find a job, stuff like that. And yes, it is a pretty lucrative area, Juneau is. But I don't want to just quit my job without having another job. I mean, that's a pretty big risk right there.
Especially when you enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly. And so my boss was lucky enough, he wanted to keep me. And so I was lucky enough to keep the job and work remotely doing the same work. And so essentially I do like graphic design work, I do a lot of marketing and a lot of, I'd say, reports for customers. So a lot of customer base interactions. And that's kind of what I do. And I just take that on the road. I can take it anywhere I want. So I kind of lucked out in that aspect.
It was like we had to make the jump before things started working out.
Yeah. You kind of just have to put yourself into that spot of like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then things just work out that way.
That's people's biggest fear are things not working out. Mm-hmm. But honestly, something will always work out.
Yeah.
And so it depends on where you're at in your life. That's why we can't really tell everyone you need to do it exactly like us because we're doing it way different than anyone else.
Mm-hmm. So when we moved up to Alaska, we realized that the biggest expense is going to be rent. And I feel like that's anywhere you go. The biggest expense is rent.
Yep.
Rent. Expense. The biggest expense is rent.
Rent. Yep.
So how can we minimize that? The great thing about getting and living on a boat is it's so inexpensive. I mean...
As far as the moorage goes.
As far as the moorage and the mortgage, too.
Yeah.
You have those two bills you have to pay. But the nice thing is once we got our loan of the boat and we started living on it, we literally cut our rent payment in half.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus we are putting all of our money into our things.
In our boat.
We're not putting all of that because rent in Juneau is like $1,200 to $2,000 per month. Mm-hmm. We're not just giving that all to someone else.
Yeah, we're able to invest it back into ourselves.
Yeah, so we were able to take the money and put it back into the things we want to do.
Yeah.
And some people might look at that as throwing money away compared to having your own house, but the situation that we were in, it was one-upping rent. Mm-hmm. That's how we looked at it.
That was the biggest one, yeah. So we cut our rent more than half. I think... So our mortgage for the boat is $300, and then the slip itself is close to like $350, $375. It equals out to be about $600 about a month,
and that's for Juneau. That's
unheard of. Yeah. In other places, I'm sure on the East Coast, that's pretty expensive. But once the summer came, we lived on anchor. We got out of the harbor and we cut $300 off that mortgage. We got rid of that completely. Just lived on anchor. And our only expense really was the mortgage of the boat. And
gas or diesel.
Yeah, diesel.
But with a sailboat, you use more. You use more diesel up in Alaska because of just how the winds are. They're not as steady as some other places. But it's still really cheap way to travel up there.
Yeah. And so, the biggest expense is rent. And then the other thing that we should talk about is just hard work. A lot of people don't want to put in the effort for hard work to be able to achieve something.
Yeah.
I think they want a lot of things given to them. I feel
as far as like, someone else tell me how to do this.
Yeah.
Someone else. Granted, we learned from other people online, but we had to really dig into it, right? Mm-hmm. We're learning ourselves. That's what's nice about online. It's so much easier to learn yourself. But let's talk about the loan process really quick.
You want to talk about how to get a boat loan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were $81,000 in debt, and we got this boat surveyed that we were like, okay, this is the one we want. Mm-hmm. We want Turning Point. We got it surveyed, and it was for $32,000.
So the asking price was $31,500, I think, and then he lowered it down to $29,000. And then when we got it surveyed, it was exactly $29,000 for the value of the boat. I was thinking about $25,000, $24,000 would be really nice to get that boat for that price. But as soon as we got the survey back, I told him, hey, let's just kind of meet in the middle of what I would ask, and so we did. So sure enough, we got for $26,500.
$26,500. And then we go to the loan place, and they're like, no. You guys have no collateral. You have 2 cars that are under 2005 and under. Yeah. And this was in 2015. Yeah. One thing they're going to look at is how long have you had a consistent job for? The same job consistently. Every time you move, that's considered slightly inconsistent, which I had been moving a lot. But I had really good credit, so they could look at my history and be like, okay, she's reliable. At least we have that.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob had good credit too.
Mm-hmm.
And so us combined was good. Rob's car was
So I had a 2007 Ford 500 with like 120 or 130,000 miles on it, and you had a little Honda Civic.
I had a 2002 Honda Civic.
Yeah.
And we applied for this boat in 2015.
And that was our collateral, those two cars.
That's it. That's all we had. That's
Yeah.
all we owned. And then I had the little bit of savings.
Mm-hmm.
And I had saved $8,000 at that point. And so...
So yeah, when we talked to them...
they called Rob and said, we can't give you the loan.
And I was like, well, why is that? And she's like, well, you don't have enough collateral. If you had a car 1 year newer and 20,000 miles less, so if we had a 2008 with 100,000 miles on it, we could get the loan. So I asked her, I asked her on the phone, I'm like, so you're telling me if I go out and buy a car 1 year newer with 20,000 miles less than the current car that I have,
and get into
more debt,
you'll
then give me the loan?
And trust me to then pay it off and be able to make those payments.
I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, we want to put down 10% of the boat loan, and then we're gonna continuously pay on the current loan. And so after that, she was like, all right, let me see what I can do. And so the fact that we weren't taking out a $26,000 loan, it was more of a $19,000 loan with the 10% down. They're a little more, all right, we can do that.
So it just worked out good that I had saved up basically the right amount to get us started, and that was it. All my savings gone on the boat.
Another thing too, I want to say, don't tell the loan people that you're going to be living on the boat.
Yep.
That's
the big question they're going to ask. You don't say that, because from their viewpoint, people that live on the boat can just take off and not pay anything. It's kind of weird. They've probably had it happen a lot in the past, and so you just have to tell them it's going to be your recreational vehicle.
Which is true. It is.
And they will ask you that question too.
Yeah.
So we fought hard for it because we knew that little hiccup, like we weren't going to allow that to happen. So we knew the process. We knew what we had. We fought hard for it. So they're like, okay, we'll do this.
Yep.
And I'm like, yes, my whole life's hard work. It's finally paying off.
Yeah, so we finally got the boat, and we pretty much moved right on board as soon as we were able to put the down payment and make the offer on the boat.
But that put us basically exactly $100,000 in debt. And so at that point, we're like, okay, we sat down, we wrote all of our expenses, and we're like, holy shit.
What do we need to do?
Oh, we're in a lot of debt. And we knew it, but it was like all this exciting stuff. And then once reality hit, we're like, okay, we gotta work on this. We have some work to do. So we basically laid out a 5-year plan, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, we pretty much laid it out and said, okay, in 5 years, we should be able to shoot for zero debt. And like right now, we are completely on track for it, and we're on year 4 right now, which is great.
Yeah.
And we're finally seeing like the light at the end of the tunnel. We're like, oh, it feels great.
But the best part about it is we haven't had to just sit
solely
there
focus on work.
And solely focus on work.
Or our job, that is.
We aren't the type of people to be like, okay, we only have this much money and this much money for this and this much money for this. There's just a lot of stuff that we give up. Yeah.
Working and traveling and paying off debt at the same time is kind of hard, but we kind of worked it out for the first year. Megan was able to work 4 10s, and so we'd have 3-day weekends, and we just worked it out to where every 3-day weekend we were able to take the boat out and just travel around part of Southeast Alaska, kind of get to know the boat and just get out there and just experience what Southeast Alaska has to offer outside of Juneau, because there's so much to see that you can do with boat. Like there's so many places you can't access by road. It has to be just by plane or boat.
But honestly, some of those first weekends we spent just learning how to sail.
Yeah, but we were still able to get out and travel.
Yeah.
By year 2, we were trying to go. We were like, okay, let's take off a full month and let's go explore Glacier Bay. Let's get out there and see more places and travel further away without having to go to work.
And let me just say, a lot of people are probably asking, you had enough money to take off a whole month? I would never have that. You have it if you're conscious about where you're spending and save that.
Yeah.
And cut those areas that you don't need to be spending.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just knowing what your major expenses are.
And being honest with
then
yourself.
Then just, really minimizing those expenses. It's that simple. It's like, don't spend.
Yeah. And honestly, some people are in situations where they just get too much stuff going on in their lives, and the expenses just keep rising up. And that's where that's exactly where we didn't want to go.
Yeah, like I hear people who are making like $150,000 a year combined income, yet they don't even have enough money to go out on the weekends, kind of thing. Or because they're making so much more money, they're like, oh well, I can have larger toys, I can have larger expenses, I can have
this
a four-wheeler, a trailer, I can
that
buy
has a $600 payment on it.
A couch. Yeah, Sailing Uma, don't buy a couch, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's true.
They have a good video of that.
Yeah, it's very true. And so that's just kind of, we looked at it as like, okay, we want to take this month off. Let's just work. That's the biggest thing. Let's work hard. Let's try to save up as much as we possibly can. Save every single penny. Do I have to go out on the weekends with friends and see them? Probably not. It's okay. You just recluse yourself.
Not every
sometimes.
weekend. Yeah. We honestly did have to recluse ourselves.
You focus
sometimes.
on other things, on simple things, I would say. And so that $50 that would have been a dinner and beers with friends, you then save that, and that goes towards your time off. It's that simple. And so having that time off, we're like, okay, we save up, and then we were like, okay, we'll just be putting the minimum payments on all of our bills and all of our loans, and still get out there and be able to travel.
But at the same time, you all know with sailboats that they can be a little bit of a money hog. So we had this boat in Southeast Alaska that has a lot of rain, and there were some things that we just felt like we needed for the boat. So we had to save up for that as well, just for a little bit more sanity of living on board. And one of the earlier videos, you'll find that we made a fully enclosed cockpit. We were gonna have someone else do it, and they're like, that's gonna be like $10,000, if not more, for them to do it, and they weren't even gonna do exactly what we wanted. And so we're like, well, let's figure this one out ourselves too.
Let's do it.
And so honestly, that's a lot of where our savings have come from, is learning things ourselves and doing them. So that's where a lot of the hard work is. It's not like, okay, well, I'm just going to work harder and make more money so I can pay this person over here to do this. Sometimes that makes more sense in people's lives, but for us, having 3-day weekends and Rob having just a little bits of time here and there on the boat, it made more sense for us to do things ourselves. And so we have learned a lot about electrical systems, diesel engines.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about it. It's like, okay, you can either work really hard at your job, make extra money, and pay someone else, or you just work the similar amount of time, but then do the projects yourself, save some money that way, and you learn a lot more as well.
Which is nice.
Yeah. So
I think we like that style better, is just learning about other things in the process. So
totally,
that helps you save money as well.
Yeah. And then I guess after starting year 2, since we took that month off, we came back and we continued to work for the rest of that summer. And then that was when we started realizing that, as Megan, being a hygienist, Megan could go work in Hawaii. And so we're like, let's get out of Alaska for a little bit. I
looked at it as an opportunity because I'd always dreamt about Hawaii my whole life. I grew up in the desert in the middle of nowhere. And so the ocean and Hawaii was just this grand thing in my mind. So I looked at options on Kauai, and I found some. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to apply and see if it can happen.
Yeah.
And we ended up going there.
Yeah. So we did that for the winter, and that was really awesome.
So you'll see a little blurt in our videos. A lot of people were like, oh, what are you doing? They got all scared at us. But that's the whole reason we came up with Venture Lives, is so we could not just do the sailing. We love the sailing side of it, but the whole adventure side of it, and just getting out and being out, and loving the outdoors. And so we went to Hawaii, and
so when we went to Hawaii, it kind of sparked the whole traveling by, like, okay, you travel somewhere and you can work for a little bit, travel to a new place and work. And so that kind of sparked Megan's interest in doing travel hygiene, which is something that's never been done before. I mean, you have travel nurses, you have other kind of groups of people that do things like that, but there's no such thing as like a travel hygienist. And so that kind of sparked another interest of like, we can still travel, go to a place, work, but then have time off to go and venture, have like the weekends off, have 4 days off to go play. And so it's like you work for a few weeks and you have a couple days off, work for weeks, have a couple days off, or work for a week, a few days off. And that sparked that interest of travel hygienist. And so
it's a little bit harder than it sounds, because I have to go through all of these testings for every state. That's a little bit different, and I have to keep up on every state's requirements. They're all different. But it's a sacrifice I was willing to make in order for us to just be able to go.
Yeah, and see, I'm able to take my job pretty much anywhere, so having Megan be able to do that allows me to just kind of travel along as well. We still have shared income, and then we can go to these new places and explore and check them out.
Right.
And so then came year 3 of us still up in Juneau. That's when we were like, all right, we saved up enough, because the year before we were able to save up enough for a month-long time off. And then we came back, we started working, went to Hawaii, worked some more, and we were continuously paying off loans at the same time. And now that we're starting to realize that we're a little more ahead of the game, we were like, okay, we can take off 6 months instead of 1 month. And so that's what we did for season 3. And that's kind of the videos we're coming out with right now.
It was more like 5 months.
Yeah, it was about 5 months. But so for season 3, the year 3, we decided to travel through the Inside Passage south to Seattle.
Yep.
And I guess now that we're in season 4, or working on season 4, it's a little bit different aspect. But last winter, Megan was doing her travel hygiene, and sure enough, was able to find jobs just like that.
Yeah.
And same aspect, we're working, making money, putting money onto our loans, and just really trying to conserve as much money as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And shooting for year 5, we're coming up for that, and we're hoping to be pretty much debt free, which is going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it'll be great. And with that said, we're really excited, because then we can put more money into Venture Lives and trying to grow it as a brand.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited about having more funds to be able to do that and to get everyone excited about what's going on.
Yeah. So if you look at other like cruisers out there, or other YouTubers and whatever else, a lot of them compensate, I guess, the amount of money they come in using Patreon and ad revenues. Thing is, we don't really make any money off of Patreon or ad revenues. Everything's just our hard-earned money goes towards what we love to do, which is travel and create beautiful videos.
Yeah. And
so there are other ways of funding your travels, and I know people talk about Patreon and like getting your ad revenues and stuff like that, but yeah, this is what works for us, and we enjoy it, and we're going to hopefully continue to keep doing it. And who knows, if we're able to then make more money through ad revenue, we may be able to limit our times, I guess, working our quote-unquote careers, and put more time towards the Venture Lives videos.
Yep.
So if you guys want to see that, keep
it's
sharing our
process.
videos. Just share our videos and get them out
And
there.
honestly, thank you for anyone who has tipped us or who has been a patron with us the whole way through.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are truly our fans. And so,
yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, when you tip someone or say, I'm going to give you this much per video because I like what you guys are doing, that means so much. And the few people that have done it, we just really, really appreciate it, because we want to give you guys quality and not quantity. So we go back and forth on how to develop Venture Lives as a brand, but all we know is that we want to keep moving forward. So that's all that matters.
And yeah, so like Megan was saying, Venture Lives was first started because we enjoyed hiking, getting out in the woods and the mountains and just traveling. And I guess that's kind of where it's going right now. It's not just about the sailing, but it has been for the last 3 years because that's been our main focus and what we've been doing.
Yeah.
But because we believe that Venture lives in all of us and Venture Lives isn't just about sailing. We're going to be moving on to other cool things, which it still includes sailing, but still include like hiking, biking, and surfing and swimming and just everything outside.
Yeah.
Things you can find in your backyard pretty much. It's like, how can anyone get out there? So
yeah, as
we continue to evolve with our channel, we're going to be excited to just kind of release the videos and show you guys everything that we're able to do.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. And that's why we came up with the phrase "Venture lives in all of us too." Is it's less about being a professional and like competing and you know that drive to be better than other people. It's just simply getting out and enjoying what is here and respecting it all as well.
Yeah. And then also, if you guys are interested in what we're doing and want to help support us, we do highly recommend getting our new t-shirts, which you can find right below this video.
We have t-shirts, can you believe it?
Took us 3 years, or 4 years actually.
This guy's the master creator.
I designed some pretty cool shirts. I'm really excited to actually get some for ourselves. So if you guys want to help us out, Teespring right down below us and the link right down below here. Yeah. You can pick some up. Let us know what's your favorite one too. And again, if you have any questions, give us feedback in the comments down below. Yeah. I know Megan and I are really on it every single day trying to comment back to our viewers. So if you have any questions or want to get in hold of us or get in touch with us, shoot us a comment, shoot us an email. Yeah. We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Let's recap those 5 points. So minimize rent, minimize spending, work hard, willing to learn, and then compromises. Cool. So we hope you guys found this video helpful.
Yeah. Venture lives in all of us.
All right. Tea time. Cheers.